好，唔該晒咁。
Thank you. Thank you, photographers. Welcome to the 2023 Consumption Voucher Scheme Second Installment Press Conference. We have with us the Financial Secretary, Mr. Paul Chen, Government Chief Information Officer, Mr. Tony Wong, and Principal Assistant Secretary, Treasury Special Duties, Mr. Ricky Chong. We will first hear from the Financial Secretary. FS, please. Thank you. Friends from the media, citizens of Hong Kong, welcome to the press conference. The purpose of today's press conference is to give you details about the second installment of the disbursement of Consumption Voucher Scheme 2023. We will inject about $13 billion of consumer spending into the market. We hope that on the road to economic recovery, this will give the recovery another boost. Well, with our $13 billion of spending in power injected into the market, we will also see another installment of activities under the Happy Hong Kong campaign in the second half of this year. We have another installment of Gourmet Hong Kong marketplaces. We hope that we will all happily spend to drive our economic development. On the 16th of April, we have already disbursed eligible registrants the first installment of consumption vouchers. The second installment will be open for registration to those who haven't done so. And this is the general arrangement. Hong Kong permanent residents and new arrivals will receive $2,000. Eligible person who has come to Hong Kong to study or to live under various admission schemes will receive $1,000. The disbursement will start on the 16th of July. Between the 5th and the 26th of June, registration will be open. If you have already received consumption voucher last year and if you are eligible, if you decide not to change your store value facility, you don't have to do anything. For those who needs to amend their registration details or who would like to change the store value facilities, then they will have to go through the procedure between the 5th and the 27th of June. newly eligible persons will have to make a registration in this period as well. For those who are newly eligible, they will receive consumption vouchers by 2 installments. Those who have just reached the age of 18, they will receive the first batch on the 16th of July, and the second batch will be dispersed on the 16th of October. What is meant by newly eligible persons? They are those who reach 18 years old on or before today, and those who are Hong Kong permanent residents, or those who meet other eligibility criteria. I will defer to Mr. Chong for details shortly. That's all I'd like to say for now, and I now give the floor to Principal Assistant Secretary of the FSTB, Mr. Ricky Chong, to give you details about the disbursement of the second installment of consumption vouchers. Mr. Chong, thank you. First, let me give you some background information. The FS announced in the budget the 2023 consumption voucher scheme. Those who reach the age of 18 and who are Hong Kong permanent residents or new arrivals will receive $5,000 in consumption vouchers. And for those people who have come to Hong Kong to study or to live under various admission schemes, they will receive half of the vouchers, that is $2,500. We have already disbursed the first installment of vouchers to about 6.4 million existing registrants using the information in the consumption voucher scheme last year. For the second installment, just like what the FS said, starting from the 16th of July, the remaining amount of consumption voucher will be dispersed, that is at $2,000 or $1,000. Those who are newly eligible will receive a total of $5,000 or $2,500 by 2 batches on the 16th of July or the 16th of October. For eligibility criteria, they are more or less the same as those last year. First of all, you will have to be 18 years old or above. You'll have to be either a Hong Kong permanent resident or a new arrival, or someone who has come to study in Hong Kong or to live in Hong Kong through various admission schemes, and those who do not have the intention to permanently depart from Hong Kong, or those who have not departed permanently from Hong Kong already. So, in relation to not having permanently departed from Hong Kong nor having such intention, when we make a determination, we look at a number of factors. First, whether that person has been continuously absent from Hong Kong in the past 36 months without any specified reasons, or whether the person has submitted any valid claim requests for withdrawal of MPF, Mandatory Provident Fund, or Occupational Retirement Scheme benefits before the age of 65 on the grounds of permanent departure, or whether the person is holding a locally issued Hong Kong permanent identity card as opposed to an overseas issued one. Lastly, we will also look at other information to see if the person has the intention to return to Hong Kong in the foreseeable future. And this sets out the voucher value. If you are a Hong Kong permanent resident or new arrivals, but since you have already received $3,000, for the second installment you receive $2,000. For people who come to study in Hong Kong or to live here through various admission schemes, they will get $1,000 in the second installment. But if you are a new registrant, and if you are a Hong Kong permanent resident or new arrival, you will get in 2 installments $5,000 in total. Then if you are someone who comes to study or to live in Hong Kong via different admission schemes, you'll receive altogether $2,500, similarly in 2 installments.
OC Pay we will have 6 storage value facilities: Alipay Hong Kong, PayMe, BOC Pay, Tap and Go, Octopus, and WeChat Pay HK. So people can choose their payment platform according to their needs and their habits for the second installment of vouchers. Now, what are some steps we will have to go through? First, for existing registrants, this means those who have got their first installment. If you want to stick to the same payment platform for the second installment, no action is needed. You don't have to sign up again. We will go on your existing registration records will go by the same eligibility criteria to do the checking, and then the second installment of vouchers will go to your payment platform. There are those who want to switch to a different payment platform for the second installment. Those will have to go through the steps to make the change. For new registrants, meaning those who never signed up before, or those who have just turned 18, for example, that means you have just met the criteria, you have to sign up, provide the records, we will do the checking. If you are eligible, we will give you the second installment. Now, here are some dates you want to look out for, starting from June 5th to the 27th of June. That's roughly 3 weeks. We believe that's enough time for people to go through those steps. So here's how you can make the change. Again, we adopt the practice from last year. You can use the online portal. You can make the changes on your own. If needed, you can also visit one of the 9 temporary service centers, get help from our staff members. On this slide, you will see some temporary service centers. Here are some addresses. You can find them across different parts of Hong Kong, places easily accessible by public transport in North Point and Wan Chai on Hong Kong Island. And then you also have another center in Kwun Tong, another part of Kowloon. And then in the new territories, you can see places in Tuen Mun, Yuen Long, Sha Tin, Tai Fo, etc. The temporary service centers will open from June 5th through 27th. Mondays through Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. They are closed on public holidays. We encourage people to call our hotline 185-000, book a slot first, let our staff members know when you would like to visit a particular center. We will set aside a slot for you so that you can avoid a long wait at the center. Now, the disbursement timetable. For existing registrants, if you are getting your second installment through Alipay Hong Kong, BOC Pay, PayMe, Tap and Go, or WeChat Pay HK, the second installment of $2,000 or $1,000 will reach you on July 16th. You have up to February 29th next year to spend the voucher. If you're getting the second installment through your Octopus card, this means you have already got your first installment on April 16th. You have to reach enough eligible spending. You have to hit that mark. And then on the 16th of the following month of reaching that limit, you will get your second installment. So say for the first installment, you got it on April 16th, you got $3,000. If you spend the $3,000 on eligible spending by June the 30th, you will get your second installment on the 16th of the following month, that is July 16th. For new registrants, if you are getting your vouchers from one of these 5 payment platforms, you will get your vouchers in 2 tranches. If you're eligible for $5,000, you will get the first voucher, $3,000 on July 16th, and then on October 16th, you get your second voucher, $2,000. If you're eligible for the half value instead, On July 16th, you will get the first voucher, $1,500, and then on October 16th, you get the second voucher, $1,000. You have up to February 29th next year to spend the vouchers. For October's users, if you're a new registrant, on July 16th, you will get the first voucher, $3,000 or $1,500. And then once you hit the mark with the eligible spending for the first tranche, on the 16th of the following month, you get your second voucher. Now, to show you how it works with an example, say an eligible registrant is eligible for $5,000. They get $3,000 on July 16th. And then once their eligible spending hits the mark by September 30th, and then the remaining $2,000 will be dispersed on October the 16th. They have up to June 30th next month to collect the vouchers. Now, some reminders. Over the past year, many people have got their Joyu cards. So they wonder which card, whether the Joyu card or the Octopus card, they should use for collecting the consumption vouchers. For those who got their vouchers with their Octopus card on April 16th, they can hold on to the Octopus card. They will get the second installment. No action is needed. For existing registrants, if you want to stick to the same payment platform, then no action is needed if you're eligible. You will get your second installment. You will get the vouchers on your existing payment platform. Now, when you sign up for the vouchers, please provide an SMS-enabled local mobile phone number because we will contact you with a text message. Fourth, please make sure that when you sign up, make sure you enter the correct stored value facility account number. Otherwise, you may not get the vouchers. The government or our contractor may call you or send you a text message when needed, but we will call you or text you from a designated phone number. You can find the designated phone numbers on our website. If you're suspicious, you can check the website to see if it's from a designated phone number. And please be reminded that the consumption vouchers can only be spent on local consumption. Please do not try to cash out the vouchers. Now, this is the website, consumptionvoucher.gov.hk. We have been using this for the past couple of years. Our hotline is 1-850-000. After the press conference, you can go to our website to find the details of the second installment. You can also call us at our hotline and get the information. I will stop here. Over to the Financial Secretary.
Thank you, Ricky. Let's see if you have any questions to ask. Now the floor is open for questions. Please identify your media outlet and limit the number of questions to no more than 2 questions. The reporter close to me in black. I'm from Hong Kong 01. I see that there is no addition of new platforms. Do you think the existing 6 are enough? Does it mean that this will be the last time when the government gives out consumption vouchers? Just now, the FS said that he reckons there'll be $13 billion injected into the market. How much of it will be from people who come to Hong Kong to study or to live via various admission schemes? How much more will be spent as a result if you need to dispense more? Well, and the top talent pass scheme, is it one of the reasons why you need to spend more? We use the existing 6 payment platforms because we think that's enough, and they all have special deals, and I'm sure that also means sufficient competition. Regarding the $13 billion, well, if you reach the age of 18, you're a Hong Kong permanent resident or new arrivals, then you get the full amount. If you come to live in Hong Kong via different admission schemes, or if you come to study, you get half of the voucher value. Figures last year shows that for those receiving half of the values, the number stands at about $100,000. You mentioned about Top Talent Pass scheme. The conditions under the Top Talent scheme is different from the criteria of the consumption voucher scheme. Whether they are eligible for the vouchers, it depends on whether they meet the criteria under the consumption voucher scheme. We're aware that each time we give our consumption vouchers, it's a sizable amount, and it comes from the public coffer. In previous times when we dispersed consumption vouchers, that was because of the poor economic performance as a result of the epidemic. From the beginning of this year, we have resumed connection with the mainland and the rest of the world. We see that the market is getting more and more vibrant. In particular, the F&B sector, the retail sector was a bit sluggish at the beginning. When we dispersed the first installment of the consumption voucher, the general situation was slow in economic recovery, and the external environment was not certain. In the future, of course, we take into consideration various factors, including economic performance and people's livelihood. But I think it will be difficult for the consumption voucher to become a recurrent scheme. The one on the far side, wearing headphone, I'm from cable TV. A question for the FS. Limit of $3,000 in Octopus cards. It was said that a review would be undertaken. Will the limit be raised? And we saw encashment services on the internet. Have you assessed the situation to see if there are more cases of encashment? Can you give me figures about arrests or breaches by encashment? The store limit of the Octopus card is nothing to do with the consumption voucher. I'm aware that the Octopus company is making technical adjustments in response to public aspiration. Actual progress depends on their own timetable and how confident they are to complete the technical requirements. We did not require them to raise the limit. We leave it to them to do it in their own pace. Octopus cards are widely used in Hong Kong. Of course, reliability is the most important factor. The consumption voucher scheme aims to encourage spending to boost our economy, whether you use it on food or on purchases, is good. The coverage and scope of consumption voucher is rather extensive. You can spend it on practically most things. There is no need to encash the voucher. From 2021, when we first launched the consumption voucher scheme, to now, we have identified a small number of encashment activities. According to the police, it involves about 80 shops. They've arrested 5 people. And that's the general situation. Next question. The one closer to me. The gentleman in black. I'm from Hong Kong Economic Times. Does it mean that before the 29th of May, if the person comes to Hong Kong via the Top Talent Pass scheme, then the person is eligible for the second installment of consumption voucher. Regarding not having permanently departed from Hong Kong nor having such intention, there is one factor, whether the person has no intention of returning to Hong Kong in the foreseeable future. Can you give us more specific information to determine whether the person has no intention of returning to Hong Kong in the foreseeable future? For Hong Kong people who have emigrated overseas, and if they have not withdrawn their MPF benefits, does it mean that they have no intention of returning to Hong Kong in the foreseeable future? For operational details, I'll defer to Mr. Ricky Chong, the PAS. Thank you. Just like what the FS said, we don't look at under what scheme that person comes to Hong Kong. We look at the three criteria under the consumption voucher scheme, whether the status of that person, whether the person is 18 years old, or whether the person has the intention of permanently leaving Hong Kong. Let me give you an example. Someone comes to Hong Kong via an admission scheme before the cutoff day, and the person has obtained a Hong Kong ID card and is 18 years old, the person is living or studying in Hong Kong, then on the face of it, that person is eligible. In relation to the last question, information showing whether a person has no intention of returning to Hong Kong, it's very difficult for me to give you a specific example. One of the criteria is that the person has no intention to permanently leave Hong Kong. And the factors set out under that are factors to be taken into consideration before we determine whether the person is eligible. It's very difficult for me to give you a specific example to illustrate it. The gentleman in green, closer to me. I'm from AM 730. I'd also like to talk about immigration away from Hong Kong. Well, last time, for the last consumption voucher scheme, there are people who did not receive the second installment because they've been disqualified. What is the number of disqualified cases, do you think, in the second installment of this round? And for the last round, how did you find out that person is supposed to be disqualified? And are there any cases of wrong decision? That is, you have wrongly disqualified someone, and how did you give the money back to them? I defer to the PAS. Similarly, in the last round, we also looked at whether the person has withdrawn the MPF or other retirement benefits. We have obtained the information. We sent an SMS to about 240,000 registrants, telling them that we had noticed that they have withdrawn MPF benefits, and hence they were not eligible. They might come back to ask for a review. Quite a number of people asked for a review. About 170,000 of them succeeded in their review. By that I mean that yes, indeed they have withdrawn the MPF benefits, but they have returned to Hong Kong. They made the withdrawal a long time ago, but they returned to Hong Kong to live and to work. When we see the proof, we gave them back the consumption vouchers. About the figures for this round, we think that the number will be a lot smaller because last time was the first time. From June last year to now, we see how many people have withdrawn the benefits during this period of time.
Over the past year or so, For those who withdrew their MPF benefits early, there was roughly 20,000 such people, but we have to see how many of them actually signed up for the consumption vouchers before we can decide how many will have to provide justifications to show they haven't actually left Hong Kong for good. Next question. At the far end, the lady in blue. I'm from the Hong Kong Economic Journal. Now, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority made an announcement about the EHKD and mentioned applications for the EHKD. There are some people mentioning the issuance of government subsidies with the EHKD. In the future, will consumption vouchers be issued through the EHKD? Would they make the exercise more effective? Do you have a timetable in mind? Second question on e-payment. Now, one goal of the consumption vouchers is to promote electronic payments. What can you share with us about the success? Now, the costs are rather high for small operators. What are some measures that can help these small operators? First, on EHKD for consumption vouchers. Now, we don't have enough time to make that happen for this round because the pilot scheme for the EHKD has just been launched. For future government measures, where possible, we will consider using the electronic currency to promote its development. Now, we have had consumption vouchers for a few years. The goal is to promote the wider use of electronic payment. We have seen a few things. First, roughly 90% of the consumption vouchers has been spent on smaller purchases below $2,000. For larger purchases, they are few in number. So smaller shops have benefited from the vouchers. Now, for the payment platforms, there's been more than 10 million new registered users. Each time we issue the vouchers to somewhere above 6 million people. So when we say more than 10 million new registered users, this means some people have 2 or more accounts on the electronic payments. We have more than 100,000 shops adopting or accepting electronic payments in the process. On the fees, for Octopus, the company has waived the fees for shops. For the other payment platforms, they have promised that in giving out the consumption vouchers, they are not making profits out of it. They charge fees, but then they rebate that to the users through rewards. So that's roughly how it works. Thank you. Any other questions? At the far end, the lady in white. I'm from Now TV. So this is the second installment, the last installment. How many people do you expect will switch to a different payment platform? Will that cause pressure on the temporary service centers? How many staff members will there be at the centers, given there may be more public demand? From our experience, the second installment would see some people switching to different platforms, but the ratio is not particularly high. We looked at the experience last year. We have quite a number of service centers this year. Mr. Chong can tell us more about this. Mr. Chong, please. Thank you. We will have 9 temporary service centers. Last year, the second installment, we had 8 service centers. This year, we have 1 more. So in total, we will have 170 counters in total that can serve many people. From last year, where we had 8 service centers. The wait was short. People could just pop in and access service right away. I think it will be similar this time. Now, people can also make changes on the online portal. The service centers are found in different parts of the city to make it easy for people to access one of those centers. Next question. At the far end, The gentleman with the headphone. I'm from cable TV. A follow-up question on the boost offered by consumption vouchers. We are seeing our economic recovery. Will the economic boost fall below your expectation? Just then you mentioned EHKD. You will consider using EHKD for other measures in the future. So will this round of vouchers be the last round to be issued with the conventional currency? Will we be seeing no more consumption vouchers in the future? For this round of consumption vouchers, this is costing us more than $30 billion. The boost, according to our economist estimate, the boost will be 0.6% to the GDP. This year, the sentiment is looking up. We're still seeing a drop in our exports. We have three sources of economic growth. Investment, consumption, both are seeing growth. For consumption in particular, we're seeing double-digit growth. We're fully reopened with places overseas and the mainland. And then we also have a series of measures about Hello Hong Kong and Happy Hong Kong. In the city, you can see people are more at ease. Consumption is about the sentiment. The unemployment rate has been dropping. So there's greater security in terms of income for people. So consumption is looking up. All in all, if people are happy, then people will be more comfortable with spending more. So will this be the last round of consumption vouchers? As I said just then, every time when we hand out consumption vouchers, a huge amount of money is involved. We have to have regard to our finances. When there is downward pressure on the economy, when the economy is doing poorly and there is pressure on people, and then we hand out vouchers, that's to help people and small and medium enterprises. In the future, we expect the economy to do better. So that's what we think will happen. Thank you. I believe pretty much everyone got to ask a question. The lady in blue. I'm from the Hong Kong Economic Journal. A follow-up question about the figure. Just then, you said for different admission schemes, roughly 100,000 people got their consumption vouchers at half value. How many do you expect will get the half value vouchers this time? And what about the number of new arrivals, people who are 18 years of age or above? Now, for new arrivals and those who have arrived here through different admission schemes, last time we had roughly 100,000 people. We put the number at a similar level this time. Some people come, others leave. Some turn into permanent residents, and then they will get the full value. For others, they're new here. So overall, this time, we will be issuing the half value voucher to roughly 100,000 people. But what about for those getting the full value voucher? For the second installment, we estimate that there will be roughly 6.5 million people to be covered. So minus 100,000 people, you get 6.4 million people getting the full value vouchers. Thank you. We'll stop here today. Thank you.